How did this become our signature?
Charlie, how did this become our signature? It just
You
sort of
started it.
happened.
Hello.
It just
hello.
are you gonna do it too?
I'm very strong, you, and I come to in the video.
You gotta say, Charlie, can you say hello?
Hello. I have
Cliff.
something what I need.
You have something what you need.
Zorro.
Zorro, the
Say
kitty
oh.
cat. Hey!
Zorro. Uh-oh.
Hey, Amanda,
We're all
welcome to the
here.
madness.
That's right.
Here we go.
Okay,
Oh.
Bruce, your turn. You
You
gotta
wanna
say
say
hello.
hello? All right.
Ah.
Hello. Oh my God, we
You
sound like
people are all
huskies.
nuts.
I can't
We sound
see.
like huskies. Hello.
All right. Oh. Okay, Charlie, can you go for a walk now?
No, I'm just.
No, you're just gonna help.
Oh, go on.
Yeah,
Let me
I'm
go.
going to go to the park. We should have started this after they went out the house,
Yeah. Oh well.
but you know, hi Amanda.
Everyone
Lucky.
understands.
Yeah,
Charlie, my boy.
Basil.
there's Basil the dog
get
and
Basil.
Lucky
Go
the
play soccer
dog.
with the dog.
And hello, Catherine. Hello, Miko. We're gonna get started. We're just getting
Dog soccer.
sending the boys out to play,
Charlie.
Charlie.
and
Bruce wants to see you.
yeah, time to go.
Shelly video.
Charlie has a different agenda.
Yeah.
I have the Shelly video.
Charlie.
Yeah.
So 2 hands.
3 years ago, he wasn't speaking at all,
And now,
and now
look at him go.
look at him go.
Charlie.
Shelly.
Charlie, count down.
Oh,
5,
count to 4,
4, 3,
3,
2,
2, 1.
Go see
See
Bruce.
you
Come
later.
on, we're playing with Basil.
Bye bye.
Boy. Get your books and your coat and your
Okay,
And there you go.
here we go. 2 minutes in.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. We'll just push on.
We will.
Sorry.
That was fun.
Sorry for the rough start.
Oh well. That wasn't
My name is
rough.
Karen Boite, and this is,
Laura Kirby McIntosh.
and we are part of the Ontario Autism Coalition, which is a group of parents, autistic self-advocates, therapists, teachers, grandparents,
EAs,
EAs,
BCBAs,
politicians,
ABCs, EIEIOs,
EIEIOs, and
reporters,
reporters.
are in
Yeah.
our group.
Yeah, and the list grows and grows and grows.
Oh, don't forget to say hi to the secrets Tory
The
staffers.
secret Tory staffers.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, secret Tory staffers.
Yes, you try having a
Oh,
meeting.
look at me.
And Charlie.
And Charlie.
And Charlie. Yes.
Charlie is
Hey,
also a
Hey,
member.
Bancroft.
Here we
Aaron,
go.
how you doing?
Hello, Aaron.
And Amy's here. Okay, we're gonna get started now, Charlie.
Charlie, will you go with Bruce now, please?
Okay. Basil wants to go for a walk.
Off you go.
Charlie,
Here, I'll
we
say
already
you
did
go,
countdown.
and I'll
That's very cool.
get him out the door.
That's a very cool video.
I know.
You know, it's so cool. When Charlie comes over, I get a flashback to how much energy Cliff had when he was little. And I don't know, maybe if I can give you any comfort whatsoever, it's that they do calm down. But I miss this energy level too. You know, like sometimes Cliff is so sluggish and, you know, you ask how his day went and he goes, ooh, grunt.
Yeah, it's true.
but-
I can tell you're not used to the energy of young ones
Well,
because it's been a while.
it was,
You know?
it was just such a traumatic experience. I think I blocked most of it out because I had two of them going at the same time. And Cliff would run that way and Clara would run that way. And,
Yeah, I only have the
Oh.
one.
Well, this is why I stopped at two,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they outnumber us.
I want 7 kids, but that's just my fantasy.
And I think that's what
I
Bruce would have
also
wanted
want to live in the country where,
Mm.
you know, there's no mud and no big snow
There's-
piles.
what do you mean there's mud? There's mud in the country.
Well, this is my version of the country is hanging out my sheets on the line and
Mm.
sunny and there's no
You've watched too many
mosquitoes
movies.
and no,
Well,
I know.
That's not the country.
Yeah, and I'm thin and cute. And
Okay,
all
there I
down.
want. There I want to go.
There I
I'd
want
like
to
to
go.
be cute.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
let's go. All right, so
They are
let's. Very exhausting.
All right.
So welcome. We thought we would do a quick update as to what's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on, and I have 3 things that I want to talk about tonight. No one sent me questions, but we didn't give you very much notice.
You guys can ask questions live.
You're
if
very
you want.
welcome to ask questions live. We want to try and be truncate this and do 30 minutes if we can.
Let's go.
And so let's go. I would like to ask Laura about what's next. So we got a announcement from the province that they're going to open up their doors and do some consultations, and we say thank you very much. So want to talk about strategies that have to do with that. I would also really like to talk about the demonstration that happened this past Saturday, the education demonstration, and get Laura to reflect upon that a little bit. And then go back a week and a half. It's only a week and a half ago since the NDP put forward a motion to stop the plan for the OAP and go back to the old plan.
Right.
And I'm curious about her.
Mostly, not entirely.
Mostly. I'm curious about her thoughts about that, but I'm not sure. We might run out of time.
Let's see.
I mean, that feels like ancient history, but it's only a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Boy, things move along so quickly.
I know,
Okay.
it's a bit of a blur.
So last Monday, a week ago today, the province had a press conference.
Right.
And there were 3 very prominent ministers there. Can you tell us about that press conference?
Well, it was one that I was excited by the symbolism of having the 3 ministers there. It's the first time that we've ever seen the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education, and the Minister of Children, Community, and Social Services all stand together and talk about autism. Unfortunately, the substance of the announcement was fairly thin. They didn't really announce anything new. They just kind of re-announced what they had already done. But there was a commitment to something that we've been calling for ages, which is interministerial collaboration. And I found myself saying to people in the days that followed that, you know, even if all that comes from that announcement is just that those 3 women have some meetings together and talk about autism, or their deputy ministers, or their like, you know, if their staff actually start having regular meetings, then oh my God, that might actually like lead to something.
Are you aware of that happening in the past at all?
No, I'm aware. Well, I know that we raised it with the previous Liberal government. I know that, you know, that Michael Coteau wanted very much for it to happen, but it just.
And who was Michael Coteau?
Michael Coteau was the previous Liberal Minister of Children and Youth Services when it was MCYS. And there were the beginnings of some collaboration with education, but it didn't really get very far. I don't think as far as he wanted. And then an election happened.
And historically, we have had trouble getting through the doors of the Ministry of Education.
Oh, yeah. Getting access to the Ministry of Children and Youth Services, as it then was, you know, we found out very quickly back in 2007, like once you have 5 rallies and you start getting, you know, media coverage, the minister's office calls you in and says, hey, let's talk.
Yeah.
So we were pretty good at pushing that button over and over and getting the same result. And in effect, we've done that again. But I feel like, you know, we only really talked about the need for that collaboration a few times in a few settings. And the government heard that and saw an opportunity. I think also like the fiscal reality of it is that I think they're starting to realize that MCCSS, whatever the hell, Lisa McLeod's ministry.
Yes.
There's too many freaking acronyms.
You got it.
Did I?
Yeah,
MCCSS.
Yes.
I get tongue-tied over that. Anyway, whatever. But that ministry cannot carry the weight of all autism services, right? I mean, for starters, their mandate is that it only, you know, goes up to 18. And we know autism doesn't end at 18, but ministries have to draw lines around their programs. The good thing, though, about having Lisa McLeod be the minister of this new combined ministry is that hopefully that line doesn't matter quite as much, and we can start talking about integrated services and a more seamless transition from youth services to adult services. So I don't know where that collaboration is going to go. You know, I was hoping the Minister of Education would say something more than her previous announcement. She didn't. She just kind of reiterated it.
So was that just for show?
I think so. I mean, really, if I analyze it through my political lens, it was an attempt to lower the temperature with our community. It was very carefully timed. It was on Autism Awareness Day, and you know, it was symbolic. right? You had those three ministers, but then also look at who was at the edges.
Yeah.
You had Amy Fee on one side, and you had Jeremy Roberts, who has never been pictured in any of these press conferences before, and he's there, and that's no accident.
Who's Jeremy Roberts? He might be new to some people.
Yeah, so Jeremy Roberts is an MPP from the Ottawa area. I can't remember his exact riding right now.
Yeah.
And he has a brother on the spectrum with pretty high needs. And Amy, of course, has two children on the spectrum. Neither of them spoke during the press conference, but their presence was significant. And, you know, we've seen Amy before at press conference. She's been brought out several times. But Jeremy's presence there, I think, signaled the beginning of, I don't know what to call it. I think it was a tip of the hat to his quiet activism behind the scenes. And I want to tell the whole community here, there are some backbenchers that are quite friendly to the cause that we are fighting for. And so sometimes when we go after them on Twitter, it's kind of counterproductive when we attack them in social media, because they're actually, I mean, they can't say what they're doing publicly, but they are actively lobbying.
But how are people to know that, really?
They can't, and that's the hard thing. And I mean, I try to send sort of subtle signals of, you know, let's be kind to this person or that person. But of course, I have to be careful how much I reveal about which backbenchers I know. I mean, I've kind of outed Jeremy, but then he hasn't been too subtle about it, right? At the big rally at Queen's Park, he came out into the crowd. You know, when Lisa MacLeod was in question period doing a lot of things, he did not stand up and applaud like everybody else.
Yeah.
So he was making silent but loud statements about his dissatisfaction, and the fact that he is involved now and being listened to, I think, is a good sign. So that announcement didn't really have a lot in it in terms of the words that were said, but I actually take a lot away from the symbolism of where everybody was placed that day.
I find it interesting that a lot of the vocabulary that they used sounded very similar to some of the Facebook Lives we've done in the past. Yeah. And I couldn't help but think, maybe somebody's copying off your work there, Laura.
You know, it wouldn't be the first time somebody copied my homework.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember you making that observation, me thinking, well.
Oh, I did. I called her and I said, they're so copying us. They're so copying. Hey. That's, you know, how I eloquently put it.
So maybe if I just keep saying no age cutoffs and needs-based funding and a regulation enough, those messages will get through.
It will sink in. It'll sink in. Hope. But, you know, I mean, if I catch your drift, are you asking people to pull back a little bit on their tweeting and their protesting? And what are you saying, Laura?
It's, you know, it's hard for me to say what anybody should or shouldn't do. I don't want to be that kind of leader. Because I think people should just
do what they feel is right.
Well, you know? I do too. The difficulty, and we were talking about this earlier, the difficulty with the phase that we're in right now, where this government has said, I mean, they didn't say we got it wrong and we're going to try again. Yeah. But they kind of did, you know, the fact that they said, okay, we're going to back down on the income testing, and the fact that they're talking about needs-based funding, even though the age cutoffs are still there. I mean, the tricky position that we're in right now, I think, as advocates, is we have to be perfect. This government wants us to be perfect. We can't protest too loud. We can't do this. We can't do that. And you know, look, when it comes to the threats that were made against Lisa MacLeod, we were unequivocal in condemning those. And I am quite serious. I mean, to hear her talk about her daughter being threatened and having to go around with an OPP
it's not cool.
That's totally not cool.
It's not cool. However, that did not come from us.
It didn't come from us. And that's really important. However, we often get pointed to, for better or for worse, as leaders in the autism community. I find that still kind of funny that, like, I've had MPPs tell me, you know, can you call these people off of me on Twitter? And I'm like, how powerful do you think I am? Because I'm really not.
Some people had their feelings hurt.
They did. And, you know, they'd really like people to back off. But the difficulty is, on the one hand, we don't do ourselves any favors by being rude and aggressive on social media. On the other hand, a lot of us feel like we've been on the receiving end of more than our fair share of crap.
Yeah.
And social media often provides the only platform where we can sort
That's
of
right.
release some of that.
Well, if someone's messing with your family, that gets personal really fast.
That's going to bring out
That's
the mama bear.
as personal as it gets.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so, you know, on the one hand, I want to say to Lisa McLeod, you know, look, if you had a better policy, then I don't think you'd have people who are going right over the edge like this. And even those of us that aren't going right over the edge, but are taking the occasional shot just because we can't resist and because you came for our kids.
Yeah.
But again, we have to be perfect. We have to keep our tone respectful when we're entering into this next phase of consultation. And even the fact that there's this new phase of consultation. And Denise is right. You know, they should have done their homework before unrolling the plan. Absolutely. They should have done this consultation before they unrolled the plan. But we're here now, and they're going to do the consultation thing.
Okay, so let's talk about the consultation.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So they have said that they want every single MPP in government and in the opposition to set up roundtable discussions. Okay. So step one, you
go
need
to all of them.
Go to all of them.
Yeah. And this is hard. Oh, Kelly, good for you. She's got a meeting with Sylvia on Friday. Can I come? Oh my God. I would love to be a fly on the wall.
Send her an invite.
Yeah. Some of you are asking questions about how you get meetings with your MPP. Can we loop back to that later?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
But the thing about the consultations is there's a tendency, not a tendency, there's a gut reaction, I think, on some people to be like, why do I have to go and tell my story again? Especially for the people who went to the first bunch of roundtables.
Absolutely.
Or,
it's tiring.
You know, I didn't get invited to that first round, so why should I go to this round? They screwed it.
What difference is it going to make?
But here's the thing, guys. I had mock elections in my civics class today, and we had one of my classes, the result was determined by one vote. Here's a true thing about democracy. In a democracy, decisions are made by those who show up. So we have to show up. We have to be all over the online consultations. We have to be present and vocal at the in-person consultations. We have to, when any of you get word about a roundtable being held, post it in the Facebook group so that everybody else can know as well.
Amy says, but not all MPPs are open to a meeting with their constituents even still. So if your MPP says, I'm not going to have a roundtable or is not letting you know.
Can I announce a plan even though it hasn't gotten executive approval yet?
Well, it's an idea.
Okay, so here's an idea.
Here's an idea.
In ridings where perhaps government MPPs don't hold consultations, the OAC will organize a consultation session in that riding. That's the idea.
That's a great idea.
We did this,
I like that idea.
in Ottawa. We had an autism roundtable right in Lisa McLeod's riding.
Yeah.
And you know, if the survey comes out and we don't love the wording, we might just launch a survey of our own.
Lee says, I feel like if we keep cooling the temperature, it will be frozen and there will be no back and forth. I feel you on that, Lee.
Yeah.
What are they doing? What they're doing is dictating how we protest. Protest their government. And that's not democracy. Why can't I be passionate about what they're doing to my family? Yeah.
She's right. She's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think there's ever going to be a point where, as president, I'm going to say, okay, call off the protests. I think Lisa would love it if I did. But until we've got a system that doesn't have age caps and doesn't have funding caps and is actually regulated, and I mean, we've been advocating for those three things for 15 years.
Yeah. Did you all catch the Facebook Live with on Saturday with Louis Bush and with Nancy Marchese?
Yeah.
We talked for a very long time about regulation. If you get a chance, check it out. Okay, so your MPP is not having a roundtable meeting.
So I would say do a protest specific on that. I mean, the thing about perpetual protest, besides the fact that it can be it can be a lot of fun.
For you.
I like to say we engage in repetitive protesting
Yeah.
behaviors.
Mhm.
It can be exhausting as well. But every time you protest, make sure you know why you're protesting,
Yeah.
right? Because if a reporter comes and says, so why are you here today? You need to be able to respond to that right away with a quick and to the point response. And if the question becomes, why are you here today again? You need to be able to respond to that. So I would say, if reasonable attempts to make an appointment and to, to have a consultation with an MPP have been made and they refuse, then you protest that refusal. If we want to hold protests at Ford's office to say, hey, we're still not there yet, we've still got age cutoffs and funding caps and no regulation, then absolutely we do that. But politics is a give and take, and whether you like it or not, they've thrown us a bone. They've changed the tone a little bit. They took away two of the worst things in their plan. We're not done. But we're in sort of a new phase, and how we navigate this new phase is tricky.
Yeah.
So just going to catch up with your comments here.
So
Yeah.
if your MPP is not having a roundtable conversation, you can organize a protest.
Yeah.
You can
organize a consultation of your own.
Yeah,
with
organize
OAC
your own
support.
Yeah, and we will help you. We'll be more than happy to help you with that. There is Twitter, there is Facebook, there is letting the world know that your MPP is not doing as promised.
Yeah.
Their leader has said this needs to be done, so it needs to be done.
Well, and that's the other thing, and I kind of feel like we need to really focus on the premier right now. I think Lisa MacLeod may be kind of done and in sensory overload because of all of the yelling that we've directed at her. I think there's, the reality of any political regime is that once the premier, once the head of the government says this is what we're doing, then that's what we're bloody well doing. Yeah. So, if we can get to him, the difficulty is he's saying things like if you heard there was a parent, I forget from where, that called and recorded her phone call with him.
Yes.
And he said, somebody told me that these parents will never be happy, and even if we gave them everything they wanted, it would cost $3 billion. And he keeps throwing that number around, and I just want to get him a math tutor. But we have to how do we do these two things simultaneously? We have to let him know that, yes, we can be satisfied. I keep meeting MPPs who say, oh, this is such a hard file. This is the hardest file in government. And I'm like, it's really not if you listen to your stakeholders. Yeah. And the other thing is that we have been protesting so hard for so long. I wonder sometimes whether we've forgotten how to do anything else. Sometimes when and I think the government needs to understand where we're coming from on that. Yeah. That, this isn't fun. This isn't fun and games for us. We don't protest every Friday at Doug Ford's office because it's fun. Yeah. We do it because, God damn it, our kids still don't have what they need.
Well, also, we have not seen a needs-based system.
No, we've heard the word
created, and so the obstacles are really rather large.
So I think when people are still protesting, I think we have to be focused in our messaging, right? Because what is it that we're protesting now? Specifically, and I've said these three things over and over, but until our system is needs-based, with no age caps, with no equalized funding for everybody regardless of need, and until we have regulation, then that's why we keep going. And when cameras come and they stick microphones in your face, that's what you have to talk about. Because what's happened to us before in previous campaigns, and you have to watch out for this, is media fatigue. Yeah. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, then the story isn't news. And if you're not getting news coverage, then you're not getting leverage in the halls of power. Yeah. So we have to constantly sort of reinvent ourselves and refocus our message. And so when the reporters come and say, why are you still here? It's like, oh, geez, because we still don't have, what are the three?
Regulation.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to say it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Regulation. No, you do it.
No age
You
caps.
do it. I'm scared.
It's okay. You got this. You
I don't
got-
like talking to the media.
I know none of us do, but look how many of them have done it anyway.
I
And
know.
kudos to you. All the people that have shared their stories. It's unbelievable. So needs-based funding.
Needs-based
not
funding.
age-based.
Not age-based.
No equalized funding.
No equalized
No
funding.
funding caps.
No funding caps.
Regular frickinlation.
Regular frickulation.
Yeah. There you go.
Frickulation. Super frickulation.
There's a musical in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll write it.
All right.
We need somebody come up with a slogan.
And keep your damn office open, says Amy.
Keep your damn office open. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so tips. You get in the door, you're in that round table conversation. That very nice person is sitting across from you
Mhm.
and their staff is taking notes.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I think the first thing that everybody should say is their story and how the program affects them and their family. Because for a lot of MPPs, the thing that you have to understand is that for many of them, they don't know crap about autism,
Yeah.
right? There's what, 124 MPPs? There's, 3 in the government benches that have somebody in their family with autism.
Right.
The rest have heard of it, but they don't really know much.
Yeah.
And so the
Yeah.
only context that they have is the packages that they get in their morning emails from the party or in their briefing binders from the minister. They have their talking points.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple of weeks ago at a briefing that we did with a bunch of MPPs, I saw one guy who was an MPP from the Mississauga area really struggling to process. But Lisa told me this, and you guys are saying that. How can they both be true? And like
Yeah.
helping him through the process of, dude, they can't both be true.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some stuff here that we're telling you. So it's breaking through that barrier of like, yeah, I know your talking points, but please let me finish. Let me tell you about my kid and how this program impacts my kid. And then from there, I think you open up to the broader policy conversation.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to talk about your kid, and when we are talking about a spectrum, and you are in the process of studying your child and trying to figure out, okay, what does my kid need? That is a process too, right? I mean, I am constantly thinking about that, but I got better and better at talking to teachers and principals about stuff that they could relate to, right? So I would say things like, my son can't ask for help. If he's hurt, he can't tell me where he's hurt on his body.
Yeah.
If he runs off and I can't see him, he doesn't know to answer me.
Right.
He is not toilet trained.
Yeah.
He is doing stuff with the stuff that he's not toilet trained with. And I would do it in these sort of points, but also in how that, forgive me, but how that made me feel, how stranded and trapped. So not being able to go to the grocery store when my husband was working nights just to get some milk and some chicken, like really kind of simple kind
really
of,
personalize it.
really personalize it with like the realities of life, going to the grocery store, going to the doctor, going to a family dinner, going to the school. And I would say, I can't get my son from the front door of his school to his classroom, much less worry about the content of what's happening in that classroom. So those sorts of things would be what I would describe as the challenges I had. Which most people don't, that doesn't even enter their imagination.
It doesn't, right? Our day-to-day reality is so outside the reality of most people that I think
parents have that automatic thought that we have to get rid of, right? So at 3, a child can ... At 4, a child can ...
Throw that out the window.
And when your kid's different, getting somebody who's not in the life with us to understand that, sometimes some really practical everyday examples. Rather than using therapist speech, leave that to the therapist. Just talk about your life.
I
Sorry,
think
I interrupted.
No. I think that's all really, really good stuff. The trick is, of course, how do you share your whole story in the time that you've been allowed by the individual MPP? So you have to find a way to condense it. You got to practice what you're going to say beforehand.
Practice.
Because, they are extraordinarily busy people.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're trying to blow you off. They really have.
Some are trying to blow you off.
Some are.
And some are really good at
Yeah,
it.
but
Because they're lawyers, a lot of them, eh?
yeah, they're
You know,
professionals, or
professional
they're people
talkers.
that, yeah, they're professional
They're professional
talkers.
and they're used to like,
They think
they
they're
like
the
to-
smartest person in
they
the
think
room.
they are, and they like to talk down the clock so that you don't get a word in, all that stuff. There's lots of tricks.
Yep.
So
and
make
you'll
them
get
cry.
you'll get a lot of mansplaining, you'll get a lot of womansplaining. But I think telling your own story is the first part. Being able to recognize that your story is not everyone's story is the second part. So going with a group of people who have kids at all sorts of different places along the spectrum and different ages, I think that's powerful. And then, you know, getting to the point where you're like, okay, I see my kid's picture, I see the big picture, and then the hardest part is, okay, do you understand how politics works?
Yeah.
Do you understand the pressures that this MPP is under? Can you handle and respond to their confusion over, well, wait a second, the minister said this, but you're saying that? And then Amanda raises a really good point. Should we come up with a plan about how best to meet the needs of all? Well, that's what the OAC is working on right now.
Yeah.
And you know, we presented the roadmap. Remember that on the OAC webpage, you've got the roadmap for change, and you've got the MPP resource kit. Download both of those, take them with you. If you do nothing else, even if you don't get a chance to talk about them, leave them on the table. And we're working on, you know, more detailed proposals of what the new OAP should look like. If you can at all in your area, please take an autistic self-advocate with you. You know, we're talking, most of us are parents of young kids, but a few of us are parents of teenagers, of kids who can speak very well for themselves. Thank you very much. So bring those along if you can.
Or bring your therapist.
Yeah. Bring a
therapist, bring a teacher.
Yep. Yeah. Faith is saying, write down your talking points. I try, once I know how long I've got for the meeting, I guess this is the teacher in me, but I try to figure out, you know, who's going to talk when in the meeting, for how long, what points they're going to talk about. And if you're going with a group, actually rehearse it. And I've seen some of you parents out in action, and you're doing exactly that.
You don't really need us talking about this at all.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Okay, let's move on. So what else did we want to talk to them about?
Well, there have been some professionals who have approached us.
Yes.
And they want to be able, that work for, say, other kinds of agencies, and they have children who come through their doors, and they're trying to advocate for their clients.
Yeah.
What can we say? What can we say to those folks, the social workers, the teachers, is there some materials that we can prepare, or do you have a good point of view that you can provide?
I think the key really when you go in to meet with an individual MPP is to do your homework. Find out, what was that MPP doing before they got elected? What committees do they sit on? What specialties do they have? Some of them are numbers nerds. Some of them aren't. Some of them were goat farmers. Some of them were nurses.
Some of them were goat farmers?
The Minister of Education.
The Minister of Education
was kind of a goat farmer.
Was a goat farmer?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Somebody needs to farm goats.
Somebody's got to farm goats. We need cheese.
I need a lot of cheese.
Me too.
Okay.
Clearly.
Anyway, some of them are, you know, tax lawyers. Like the ones that I like to talk to are the policy nerds, the ones that really like getting into the detail of it.
Yeah.
You'll be able to tell within about 5 to 10 minutes what kind of MPP you're dealing with. And sometimes you get yourself stuck into it, and I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me. You get into a meeting and you realize you're talking to somebody that's just like not home.
Yeah.
And
frustrating.
It is. It's exhausting. And so you go through the motions of having the meeting, and you leave them the materials, and then you get the hell out of there. And you go, oh, well, I tried. Yeah. But just so you guys know, I'm tracking all of the MPPs that we've met with, that you've met with. My daughter's got her own little ABA reinforcer system.
Oh, you remember
going
the
on with
stickers? Yeah.
Right? So, you know, let me know when you've had meetings.
Please do. Yeah.
You know,
and how it went. Yeah. Amanda Joy
Yes.
posted a fantastic
Oh,
play-by-play.
I love this. Yes.
If you get a chance to watch it, I pinned it to the top of the Facebook page
Mhm.
of her describing a meeting with Caroline Mulrooney, who
Yeah.
is the daughter of the former Prime Minister of Canada,
Yep.
by the way, for those of you who are too young to remember. Some of them are.
I know.
Some of them are too young to remember.
hurts. It
I know it
hurts.
hurts. It's fantastic. Amanda, wow.
Mhm.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, go check that out.
Advocacy in action. I've never done that well. That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about, somebody was asking earlier, like, what's the most important thing for us to do now? I forget who asked the question. Amy, what's the best thing we can do right now to make a difference? I think participating in the consultations, and educating MPPs.
And bring a friend.
Yes, always.
There are shy parents out there who may need help coming out of their shell.
Yeah.
And if you are aware of their challenges, help them practice.
Yeah. Now, Faith's saying, I don't want to meet with my local one anymore. I want to go. You know what, Faith? That's fair.
Yeah.
That is totally fair. Like,
Yeah.
once you've hit the wall and you've, like, checked off the box and, okay, you had that meeting.
Come with me to meet with Mitzi Hunter, Faith. I need you.
Yeah. But go and talk to opposition MPPs. So, I mean, this depends on where you are and how far you could travel, but you best believe that the opposition MPPs are going to be hosting all sorts of consultations. Like, and the funny thing is, they were doing it before the announcement.
Yes, they were.
We had several autism roundtables hosted by New Democrats and Liberals.
Yeah.
So let's attend the hell out of those.
Yeah.
And I know it's a burden, right? You got to book a respite worker, or you got to try dragging your kid along, which is also educational.
You know,
and sometimes
if
it's a good
not
idea.
too difficult for your child, not a bad idea.
Well,
at all.
remember, where was it? Oh crap! What city was it in? Where they went in to just make an appointment, and the kid was playing with the blinds, and they called the cops on them. Where the hell was that?
Oh yeah,
because they couldn't even handle like 2 minutes with a kid with
the
autism
child
in their,
playing with the blinds.
house.
I know. I know.
You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, you guys know.
Yeah.
So when you hit a wall, right? Like Jill is saying, she's hit a wall with Lori Scott. She just refers to you in the paper now. Okay, so you know what? We checked her off the box. Let's move on.
Right. Except for the round table. Yes.
Okay. Except for the round tables.
Except for the round tables.
Okay, Cornwall. That's where they called the cops on the kid
Okay.
that was playing with the
Yeah.
blinds. God help them.
Imagine, eh?
I mean, so you know, sometimes something like that can backfire on them badly. Like they got a whole bunch of bad press over that.
Yeah.
But the online consultations and the in-person consultations, we have to go and we have to articulate why we need regulation, why we need needs-based, why age cutoffs are a bad idea. Okay, face-to-face consults in the Northwest, Kenora. Sharon, if you're not getting any luck there, then hook up with Jamie West, the MPP in Sudbury, and see if he can help you out. He's a great guy. So we've got some good allies in the opposition, and we have some quiet allies in the government in the backbenches.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you've gone and you've met with your MPP already and you're like, nope, they're definitely not on side and I'm just hitting a brick wall, you know what? Stop. Your time and your energy is precious.
Yeah.
And you don't have any of it to waste. And so if meeting with your MPP is a box you've already checked off, then move on. There's other things you can do. There's petitions, there's letters, there's the online consultations, and then there's joining with opposition MPPs. Okay.
Okay. So let's move on. But feel free to continue posting about what to do, and we'll glance at it. I wanted to go 30 minutes, and we're already at 38 minutes.
Whoops.
So just quickly.
Sure.
Hey, nice work at the rally on Saturday. Nice speech.
Oh, cool. I gave a speech to 10,000 people.
I know.
Or I don't know how many were there.
Somebody told me it was 50,000. So
I
I posted
10, 20.
50,000 people.
It was
500,000, 100 million,
It was a
1,000
lot of
people.
people.
A lot of people.
It was big.
Yeah.
It was really big.
So what was that all about?
So it was a protest by education workers and organized by their different professional associations, their unions, to speak out against potential cuts to education, increases to class sizes, mandatory online learning, changes to the sex ed curriculum, all of it.
Yeah.
And
all of it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
And to just say,
Stop.
Whoa,
Sorry.
jeez. Are you an
Did I
opera
scare
singer?
you? Oh yeah, used to be.
Yeah.
Amateur.
Girl can
Amateur.
project.
That was quiet.
That was quiet for you. I know.
That
you
was
can go
quiet for
there.
me. I know.
Anyway,
Yep.
so it was amazing. QP was there, the union that represents a lot of workers in education, education assistants and custodians and secretaries and librarians, and then the Catholic Teachers Union and the Elementary Teachers Federation and the Secondary School Teachers Federation and the French Teachers Federation.
And what were they protesting?
All of the crazy things that have been announced as changes to the education system.
Right, as announced by
Minister Thompson. Stop! Oh my God.
Excuse me. Diet
Just
Coke.
slipped out.
It just slipped out. Gas.
We don't even have wine tonight, folks. Look at her go. Press conference on education, Laura, please. Okay, what do you mean? You want me to do a press conference on education?
Yes, she does.
Or did
That's what she wants.
did one? I can do another one.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll work on it.
Maria, is that what you're asking?
That's what she's asking. We were chatting earlier.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah. We can,
okay.
well, maybe in response to the latest announcements. So there's going to be big no caps on classroom sizes. A whole bunch of people have gotten fired. There will be no more spending on special education, and in fact, it's been significantly decreased.
Actually,
you know
what I really want to do is I want to wait until the budget drops on Thursday. Now I know this
April
wasn't
11th.
on your agenda, but
That's okay.
This Thursday, if anybody like me is out there and they're kind of frustrated by how numbers just kind of get thrown around by our ministers, it's like 300 million, no, it's 600 million, no, it's 325 million, no, it's 620.
It's that spin stuff we keep talking about, right?
So the budget comes down on Thursday. It's delivered by the Minister of Finance, I think at 4:00.
Who's that?
Vic Fideli.
Okay. That's that powerful guy you were talking about before.
Yeah. He's kind of got his hands on some of the biggest levers in government. And so the budget says, this is how much we're going to bring in tax revenue. This is how much we're going to spend. This is where we're going to spend it. And
how we're going
to spend it.
Right.
And then it's Treasury Board that actually disperses the funds.
Right.
So I will be very interested. Oh, Faith, if you want to go to question period, definitely. Just call one of the opposition MPPs and ask them if they can get you a members gallery pass. A lot of them are pretty helpful with that. Budget day will be a little bit hard. But you should be be able to get into the public gallery.
Maybe
no
do it sooner than later.
Yeah. If you want to sit in the special fancy place, then I would call an opposition MPP first thing in the morning. Otherwise, everybody and their dog is going to want to be at question period. Or sorry, not question period, at Queen's Park.
Right, when the budget drops.
Yeah, but it's 4:00 in the
press.
afternoon, right? So not exactly convenient for those of us that have young kids. But you
Yeah.
can also watch it on TV. Watching it will be kind of like watching paint dry. I am much more, I don't want to listen to him read it. I'd rather gouge my own eyes out.
Yeah.
But I do want to open the documents and look at the numbers and see for the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services, what are all the programs. I want to look for special services at home, like Kelly's pointing out. I want to look at ACSD funding. I want to look at the autism program and find out what is actually allocated.
Okay.
So that's going to be a big day for us.
So we may be able to do a little bit more planning then. When we
Yeah, I
have
think
a real
once-
sense of what the reality is
We're
versus.
going to need some time to
the
digest those numbers.
Yeah.
So I don't think
Mike
doing.
Moffat, is he available?
I'm going to be calling him.
Okay, yeah.
Mike, what the hell?
Mike,
I can't add.
what does this mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's big. So a press conference we can do, but again, it's like everything, right? You have to be able to say, why are you doing it? What's new? What are you calling upon the government to do? So again, we'll be looking at the education portion of the budget as well.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of want to watch. They'll drop the document, Amanda. It'll go up on some website, I guess, at the Ministry of Finance. It'll be a beast of a document. It's usually several hundred pages long. You might want to look at the executive summary. But the other thing is that, it's funny how we're all keeners right now. It's like, oh, can I read the budget? Okay, there's economists that do that, right?
No.
So we can sort of wait 24, 48 hours.
Amanda Joy is going to master it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amanda, get on that. Okay?
But I want to see definitely.
I want the Coles notes.
I know, me too.
Always.
Me too. Okay, no. I actually do want, I'm enough of a nerd that I want to go through it. But guys, you know what? Actually, if I can remember afterwards, there's a great organization that helps students who are learning about civics.
Yeah.
They're called Student Vote. And if you go to their YouTube page, every time a budget comes out, they do a whole sequence of things about like videos about understanding how budgets work. So I will see if somebody can remind me, I will link to those
Yeah.
later.
We should post
But they've
those.
done things like they've interviewed past ministers of finance and recorded like little 3-minute videos about like, this is how we make the budget. And then different people sort of stakeholder groups weigh in and that kind of stuff. And they do it federally as well.
Neat.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of nerdy, cool.
So a week and a half ago, we'll just wind down with the NDP put forward a motion
Yes,
a
they
week
did.
and a half ago. Can you tell us about that?
So it was a motion in support of needs-based autism services. And it called upon the government to pause the plan and to implement a system that was needs-based, that didn't have age caps and funding caps and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And an opposition motion is not binding. A motion is any sort of statement that says we should do or not do a certain thing.
Yeah. So what's the point of doing that if it's not binding?
Well, it's publicity to a certain extent, but
Right.
it's also forcing the government into a corner. So those of you that were around for the 2016 fight will remember that a certain leader of the opposition at the time, a conservative named Patrick Brown,
Mm-hmm.
moved a motion calling on the House to recognize that autism didn't end at 5.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of conservatives stood up and spoke in favor of that motion.
Mm-hmm. Did Lisa McLeod speak in favor of that motion?
You know, I'd have to go and look it up. But
We'd have to look it up.
I bet she did.
Just curious.
I bet she did.
Just wondering.
Because a lot of them did.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? Because the opposition member moves the motion, and of course, everybody in the opposition is there, right? So that side of the legislature is full.
It's full. Yeah.
There's a handful of government members on the other side, and they're like, oh, okay, and they'll, the speeches go around, right? Government gets a turn, opposition gets a turn, other opposition gets a turn, everybody goes like this.
Yeah.
So they've got enough people there that the government can make speeches, but they don't have everybody there because they've got other things to do. They've got committee meetings, they've got stakeholders and constituents
A party downstairs.
They do.
Yeah.
So anyway, you're asking about the NDP
So
motion.
the NDP motion. Yeah,
So-
that's what I saw.
Yeah.
And I was facing the NDP, and I was sitting with some friends.
Yep.
And it was quite an interesting scene.
It really was.
There
It was
was- there
fun
was-
because you and I had different
We
vantage
did,
points.
and let's talk about that.
Sure.
Okay, because I could see Laura down and across, and I was facing the NDP, and below me I couldn't really see the
You
government that well.
Yeah.
You know,
you were
I could-
looking at the backs of their heads.
the backs of their heads, yeah, and Minister McLeod's fantastic green dress and fantastic green shoes, and
It was lovely. Yes.
it was lovely.
Mhm.
And so it started with announcements,
Yes.
and that took a long time. And
they-
there was one MPP in the government who talked about the best sandwich he ever had
What the hell?
for about 20 minutes. It was incredible.
Oh my God.
Right,
That's
so
called
those-
ragging the puck.
Yeah, ragging the puck,
Oh,
talking
jeez.
down the clock,
Blah,
right?
blah,
Da,
blah,
da, 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 da.
Well, because
Right?
they have allocated time, right? So the government
Sure.
gets to talk for 20 minutes. The opposition gets to talk for 20 minutes. So they all get their turn.
Right.
And like they did a whole bunch of procedural crap to push it back and push it back. And honestly, what I think they were doing was trying to make the vote happen so late that most of us
Most
parents
of us would have left.
would have to go and get our kids.
Sure.
But
Didn't
y'all
happen.
Y'all didn't leave.
happen.
You did not leave. So the speaker's sort of at the front,
Yep.
and Karen's in the public gallery up top.
Right.
I'm in the opposition gallery with
Yep.
like a front row seat looking right at the speaker, and I can see everybody.
Yep.
Monique Taylor moves the motion. And everybody gets their turn talking about it. And it's interesting the speeches that were made. Like Amy Fee spoke for a long time.
She did speak for
Monique's-
a long
Yep.
time.
Monique spoke for a long time.
Yeah.
The poor Liberals, Michael Coteau asked
tried.
for permission
He
to
tried.
speak because, of course, the Liberals got beaten so badly last time that they actually don't even have official party
Yeah,
status.
yeah.
So the only way that they get to speak in an opposition motion like that is if they get unanimous consent from all of the members there.
That's
so
right.
he asked for it,
He asked for it.
and he
Everybody
got
went.
shot down. No, not everybody.
Pretty much everybody did.
No,
Poor Michael.
not
I felt
everybody.
terrible.
Not everybody.
Felt
The thing
terrible
is,
for him.
all it takes for him to be denied is for one person
Yeah,
to say
yeah.
no.
They
So it was
mostly all went.
It was only a handful.
Yeah.
But
No, it was
whatever.
funny because there were some jibes. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
Michael said, "I was a school trustee,"
I
you know,
know,
and it didn't
I
work.
didn't
You know,
work.
better luck next time, Michael. I would have liked to have heard what he had to say. Very much.
Me too. And I think he wound up giving his statements either the next day or he released it
That's
online or something like that. But anyway, so let's paint the scene.
Paint the scene.
So everybody's done talking and it
Yeah.
comes to a vote. Now here's how these things normally
Well,
go.
wait a minute. The talking also, like we had the opposition are raring to go. They also presented the petition that everybody sent
yes.
that happened before the speeches.
Yeah.
Which is pretty exciting.
Mhm.
And many different MPPs in the opposition presented petitions.
Yeah.
And the stacks were this big, guys.
Oh,
Like,
they're
where am I?
massive.
Where am I? Huge
Yeah.
stacks, right?
Yeah.
And then the speeches. And of course, in the opposition, passion,
So much.
like a Hollywood movie.
Oh, I know. The speeches were
Oh my gosh.
fantastic.
Who's the young guy? Who's that guy?
Which one? Oh, Jamie.
No, Joel
Harden.
Joel Harden.
Oh,
Oh,
love
I'm
that
going to
man.
marry Joel Harden. Like,
I think he's
fantastic.
taken.
I'm sure he is
So
taken.
are you.
So am I. But, you know, hey, I can dream. And, you know, I mean, the leader of
speeches
the
were
NDP,
fantastic.
they were fantastic. And what was really funny about them, they were so passionate. And then on the government side,
They were so quiet.
quiet,
Somber.
mournful, lethargic,
Yeah.
slow.
Lisa's energy was way down.
Oh,
that day.
so down.
She spoke.
But spoke like a pro because she went
Yes,
on
but-
and on and
but
on.
subdued. Like, did you notice her
Subdued.
change in tone?
Oh,
though?
such a different change in tone. And poor Amy Fee.
Hey, she talked about what
She
happened
talked
to her
about
in the
her,
old program.
her life, her, and very sincerely, and it was very interesting. So then, and then while this is all happening, one of my friends just broke down, right? Right, because it's like,
It's too much.
it's too much. And listening to the government, listening to people play with your life is really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And when the
It's
reality
like going to court. Everything suddenly
Yes.
becomes very real.
of that theater,
Yes.
and you're watching this play out, you're still like, you're talking about my baby
I know.
here, right? And you're just
Well,
like,
and to a lot of-
what? This is
you said
bizarre,
theater,
surreal.
and I think-
Theater. It was theater.
And I think that is so true because
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't understand is that most of Question Period, now that it's televised, is exactly that. It's
Yeah.
political theater, and it's all about trying to be the one that says the soundbite that gets picked up by
Yeah.
the TV station that
Yeah.
gets played on the news.
Yeah.
And I've noticed a new thing lately when people are speaking in the House, they locate where the cameras are in the House.
They're
And then
totally
they speak
performing.
right to the
And
camera.
what they totally do. And what's
So
really
authentic.
funny about that is everybody else, you think if you're watching this on TV,
Yeah.
that everybody's riveted. But
Oh,
then
yeah.
the fact is most of them are playing with their phones,
Yeah.
you know, and they're getting up and walking around
Mhm.
and, you know, just sort of like meandering. And it was very interesting seeing even them enter, right?
Yes.
Like they would all, NDP all showed up, you know, they're all on time, you know, ready to go. And the government just sort of meandering,
Back and
and the
forth.
minister, I've never seen anything quite like it.
Yeah.
Like
No,
the
she was
way that
definitely
she
down.
entered.
Okay, so we got to
it
talk.
was
We
a-
got
okay.
to talk
It
about
was
the
a-
vote.
Okay, there was somebody weeping through the entire process.
There was, and she made eye contact with one of the MPPs.
Yeah.
And was saying to them, please, please. With
And
this
Laura
motion.
was making signs across the room like this with a heart.
Yeah.
We're all trying to cheer up that
I was
person. And
trying to say this.
oh my goodness, what a scene. Okay, so then cut to
Okay.
the chase.
So what was supposed to happen? Normally, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
So the Speaker of the House reads the motion and says, is it the will of the House that this motion carry? All in favor say aye.
Yeah.
And so all of the opposition members called aye. And then you call for the nays, the no votes.
Yeah.
And then what's supposed to happen right after the government MPPs say nay is a few of them are supposed to stand up right away to indicate that they want what's called a roll call, or not a roll call vote, division.
Right.
So they want to ring the bells for 5 minutes. And if you've ever been at Queen's Park and you've heard those annoying bells, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And that means that all of the Conservatives who are not in the House
Mhm.
have a chance to get their
So
butts into
everybody
their chairs.
who's having a smoke
has a
has
chance to
a
get in
chance
there.
to come back.
So, but here's what actually happened.
They missed it. They missed it. They were too late. Go ahead.
Oh, well,
Go ahead. Tell it.
you just did.
Tell them more.
This woman.
Tell them more.
Okay, so the speaker says, everybody in favor, say aye. And the opposition yells, like all the passion, aye! Right?
Yeah.
And then the speaker goes, all opposed, say nay. And the Conservatives that were there, and I'd say about a quarter of them
Oh, if
were
that.
there.
If that.
About
The
that.
sandwich guy was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they say, but very subdued. There's this quiet nay. And then the speaker waits like 1, 2, 3, and nobody stood up. And then the speaker says, well, in my opinion, the ayes have it, the motion passes. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of Conservatives are on their feet.
They'll stand up.
And then all of a sudden, the NDP MPPs are rushing at Monique Taylor, and they're all cheering.
We won!
And then I'm up in my chair like this, going, what the?
That's
What
right.
just happened?
And I said, holy shit.
And nobody
As loud
knew
as
what
I
was
could.
going on.
Nobody knew. And okay, from my vantage point, because I watched too many Hollywood movies, I thought that the government were voting for this
But
in an act of rebellion. I thought that they were
see, here's the thing.
rebelling against their own government, like, what is it? A Dead Poet Society. Like,
Captain, my captain.
oh, Captain, my captain. That's what I thought happened.
But here's the thing. What
Okay.
I saw
Yeah.
that you didn't see
Okay.
was, okay, so the Conservatives stand up, and then I look over and I swear to God, I see a couple of Conservative backbenchers smiling at me. So then I'm texting a couple of them, and I can't name them. Texted them
She
that
should
night.
just name them.
No,
She
I
won't even
can't.
tell me.
I won't.
She won't tell me.
Okay, basic
I'm
principle
her
of
bestest friend in the whole world, and she
It's
won't
so
tell me.
True. It's so true. But here's the basic principle of secrecy in politics. If
Yeah.
you want to keep something secret, then you just
You have
don't
to keep a secret.
tell anyone.
Oh well, you can't tell me anything.
No.
Because I'll tell
I
everybody.
know that's
I know.
the thing. Anyways, but I swear to God, some of them were smiling, and I texted a couple of them that I have cell phone numbers for a few of them, and said,
She
okay,
knows everybody.
what the hell just happened? Was that on purpose, or was that an accident? And all I can tell you is that one of them messaged me back and said it was accidentally on purpose.
Told you.
No, I told you. What's with you tonight?
It was amazing. It was amazing.
I think that it was mostly a mistake, but I think there were a couple of backbenchers who knew damn well what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I really look at that as the beginning of some momentum. And there's a couple of backbenchers that I've been working with and talking to that, and I think this is an important part for every government to realize that, yes, the most of the power is concentrated in the cabinet and certainly in the premier's office. But
none of them even bothered to be there.
Well, Lisa McLeod was there.
Yes, well, she's got to be there.
She had to be.
She had to be
But
there.
you know what? Back when Patrick Brown did it, no,
No,
the corresponding minister at the time
Was not there.
do
do you recall? Was that McCharles at the time?
Yeah, I don't think she was
Okay.
there.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, we could go back and check Hansard on
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Anyways, the point is, guys, when we talk about people like Amy or Jeremy or any Conservative backbencher, and I think to a certain extent, when Bruce did what he did, when he quit in a very public way, I think it sent a message to people that, well, if you believe in something so strongly on principle, then rather than stay in the government, then you should quit. And for some people, that is the right decision.
Yeah.
That would be my decision. That would be my husband's decision. That's kind of why I married him. Other politicians,
And he's
though,
cute.
well, yes,
He's
and he can
cute.
cook.
He can cook.
Like
It's true.
nobody's business. That
Yeah.
French onion soup tonight.
And he's fun to talk to, too.
Yes, but
His
my point-
politics are crazy, but he's fun to talk to.
Well, a little bit. Mine used
Yeah.
to be too. But
I
here's
know.
the thing. I understand that some people, especially like I've never been elected, so I don't know what that pressure is like,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's right.
But I think some people in the government right now are making decisions about whether it's better to stay and to try to work for change from within, or whether to leave. And I think now that there is some momentum, like they're kind of listening to the autism community, at least a little teeny tiny bit. I think a lot of them see it as it's better to stay inside and work for change that way.
Yeah.
So, I can't judge anybody for their decisions. I can only say what I would do.
Yeah.
I would have quit 6 months ago, but then where would I be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'd be on the outside.
I would. I'd be,
You'd be
and
on
like
the outside.
people have to understand, quitting or being turfed out of caucus means you are persona non grata. And guess who's back?
17.
Who's number 17?
Perfect bookend. We're at an hour. 23.
23. Who's number 17?
That's Claire's favorite one. It's
It is.
23.
That's right. And whose favorite number is 17?
Hey, there they are.
Oh, that's my
again.
cat. That's my
Basil.
dog. And that's my son. And if
And we'll
you're
say
wondering,
goodnight.
we will say goodnight.
We'll say goodnight.
Because
it's bedtime.
once upon a time, they're this big.
Huh.
And then you turn around the next minute and come here.
And
come
they're
here, bring me your face.
this
bring me your
big.
face. And then they have facial hair and feet that go on for like a week and a half and appetites like this. And they memorize the entire NHL.
Yep.
Oh, hey, go get the hockey pool thing.
And
By
sometimes,
the way,
sometimes
quick.
they take the dog for a walk together.
And they do. And sometimes.
And they're friends.
And guys, like the nicest thing you can do is get an older kid with autism together with a younger kid.
It's an amazing
with autism.
thing.
I'm back.
Now, can I tell people what this is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. This is the big reveal, guys. If you want to know how to win the NHL pool at your office place, write down these names, because last year Cliff did this for me and we won at work. So I don't know half of what he knows in hockey, but that's how he called it. So who's going to win the Stanley Cup, Cliff?
Boston.
Boston.
Gee, I
Right.
wonder why you're saying that.
wonder.
Guy
He's a
in
bit
the
of a
Boston
fan.
shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful.
We hope so too. Stay in the fight.
Absolutely.
Be yourself.
Stay tuned.
Do what you think is best.
Mhm.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
This is a coalition. This isn't a place where I'm like, hey, you guys have to do this and
Yeah.
you have to do that. You do what you feel is right in your riding,
Yeah.
given the member that you have,
That's
the
right.
time that you have. And
Yeah.
the other thing, guys, pace yourself. Do what you can when you can. That's our
Mhm.
motto around here. So if you can make it to Doug Ford's office every Friday, knock yourself out. Tony Stravato's chirping at you. He's saying, go Leafs, go. Oh, Tony.
You do not know your peril, Tony. Okay.
No.
Boston in 6.
Boston,
Boston
in
in
6.
Thank
All
you,
right,
everybody.
On that note.
Stay in the fight.
Yeah.
More soon.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Good night.
Go to bed.
Go to bed. Yeah. Good night. Oops.
Oh,
Well,
there it goes.
okay. Here you
Yep.
do it.
Okay. I
I'm
got it.
jinxed.
Nope. And